Alright guys, I want to take a minute and kind of go into something. Sometimes from a combatives perspective, we have a tendency to get caught up in the techniques and not the strategy that is actually going behind what it is that we're doing. Guys typically want that feel-good gratification. They want to learn how to punch, they want to learn how to kick, they want to learn how to do this submission or this choke or whatever. But very seldom do you end up with individuals who actually want to learn not just how to execute those moves, but when. And the when and the why is more important than the move that you're actually trying to execute. So if I could take a guy, if I have limited time with a student, I would much rather teach him not what to do, but how to think. If I can teach that guy how to think, I can almost dictate over the phone how to throw a punch. But it's much more difficult for me to dictate over the phone how to, or rather when to throw that punch, when that opening becomes available, how to make that opening become available. And to do this, sometimes it's best that we kind of take a 3,000-foot view, and for me it's easier to actually look at this from a small unit perspective, because I think people can kind of see it a little easier than they can from an individual perspective. So we're going to look at two basic formations, actually four basic formations, but for all intents and purposes it's two. What we have is, depending on my direction of travel, if I'm looking at just a fire team here, and I have this as my direction of travel, this would be a file. Okay? If this is my direction of travel, this would be a line. Once again, over here we have the V and the wedge. If I'm going this way, it's a wedge. If I'm going this way, it's a V. In this type of scenario, it would really not be a situation where I'm actually traveling in the direction of my flanks in that position. It would actually morph into something else. So I don't want to get caught up in too much of the minutia. Technically, if you were doing this, these guys would be staggered, but again, what I want to do is I want to focus on the general concept and why it is we take certain formations based on certain terrain and so on and so forth. So if I'm traveling down a narrow road, I may take a file. I may actually branch out and take up a staggered file where I have guys that are actually like this, and you'll see kind of the reason why. Different positions, different formations rather, have strengths and weaknesses, and those strengths and weaknesses can be exploited by other units, and that's basically what you have in small unit tactics. So the line, if I'm traveling, if we're going in this direction, the line is able to actually bring 4 guns to bear on a target. All right, so they're strong in the forward direction and the rearward direction. Again, if they're traveling, if they're attacked from the rear, they can still about face and bring 4 guns to bear on their target. The problem is that in a line formation, they can only bring 1 gun to bear to their flanks. Now, again, I'm not going to get into the fact that sometimes you offset your wings. We're not getting into all that. I want you to just get the basic concept of what we're talking about here. So, from a defensive perspective, if I run up against an attacker who is able to bring 4 guns to bear, it is going to be to their advantage to attack me from this direction, or to lay in wait as my line is moving forward. As it's moving up, they lay in wait, and this would be called a linear ambush. I'm not going to get into L ambush versus linear ambush or anything like that. Again, it's the concept we're trying to get here. What I want you to get from this is that different positions, different formations are stronger and weaker in different directions. The same thing over here. I'm actually able to bring 4 guns to bear in that forward and rearward about face direction. But based on this setup, I'm actually only able to bring 3 to bear on the flanks. Now, again, you can stagger this slightly and stuff and potentially bring 4. Depending on the situation, you may or may not want to do that. But the point being is that each position is going to be stronger or weaker in different directions, and based on the direction of attack is going to dictate my response and how I'm going to go about doing things. But we're looking at this from a static perspective, okay? I'm not looking at this in the traditional sense where I'm attacked from the flank, so therefore we change positions, or I'm attacked from the flank here, therefore my guys move on line to be able to bring 4 guns to bear. I'm not looking at a react to contact type drill. I'm just looking at the strengths and the weaknesses of the individual formations themselves. Now, how does this translate into individual perspective? So if I have an individual and I'm looking at this guy from above, here's the shoulders here, this is his head. If I have, let's just say this is the direction that he's facing. If I have left arm, left leg, those are 2 assets that are available to me. Right arm, right leg, 2 assets that are available to me. If I am facing at this guy as an attacker, and I am facing him, we are in this type of confrontation, I am now able to bring left arm, left leg, right arm, right leg. I am actually able to bring 4 assets to bear on him, and he is able to bring the same on me. Now you'll see this a lot in fights where guys are squaring off with each other face to face, and that's fine. That's how a fight is probably going to take place. However, what I am looking to do is in the same way that I'm looking from a small unit tactics perspective, I am looking to exploit that enemy unit, their formational weakness. I am looking to do the same thing on an individual level. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to get to this position and be able to attack from his flank where he can only bring 2 assets to bear. 1 arm and 1 leg. This arm and this leg he can't bring to bear without actually rotating and squaring up to me. We'll get into that in a little bit, but the point being is that I want to be able to exploit his weaknesses by attacking from his flanks as opposed to attacking him straight on, where I've got like a 50-50 ratio, or a 1-to-1 ratio rather, of assets that I can bring to bear versus assets that he can bring to bear. I'm not looking to be in a fair fight. I'm actually looking to exploit every opportunity and every weakness that I can to come out on top. So if I can get to the point where I am on the flank and I can now bring 4 of my assets, okay, 1, 2, and then the legs 3 and 4, I can bring 4 of my assets to bear on his 2. That puts me at a tactical advantage. So that's what I'm looking to do. Alright, so on an individual level, how does this go about looking? Well, if this is my attacker, and he is squarely facing me and I am squarely facing him, once again, from this stance, I can bring kicks, punches, I can bring all of my assets, both arms, both legs, to bear on this target, and he can equally do the same. So essentially what I'm looking to do is I am looking to attack from his flank. Now this gets into another scenario versus attacking versus retreating. A near ambush scenario, once again going back to small unit tactics, near ambush protocol calls for me to assault into the target because I cannot retreat from it and actually get the minimum safe distance that is required for my unit if I'm attacked from up close. So from a small unit perspective, it is safer for me to assault into a target if I am attached or if I am attacked in a near ambush than it is for me to retreat from it. From an individual self-defense perspective, this is a near ambush. Regardless of whether or not I'm the aggressor, he's the aggressor, we are engaged in close combat. For me to take a step back puts me on my heels, which allows him to continue to close that distance. Once he closes that distance, I continue to stay in a state of retreat. He continues to follow and assault me. Essentially, what's happening is I am maintaining my position in that kill box, and he is just continuing to assault. So the same principles that apply to small unit tactics are applying to this on an individual combatives level too. So what I'm essentially looking to do is I can bring 4 assets to bear on him, and he can bring 4 assets to bear on me. What I want to do is I want to close that distance. I want to assault into the target, but I am by no means wanting to assault line up against line and just attack on a 1-to-1 ratio. What I'm looking to do is I'm looking to do what's called cutting angles. I want to both close the distance and get offline at the same time. So if I'm attacking from this direction, maybe I'm looking to immediately bring guns to bear on this individual, but at the same time maneuver to a location where I can now assault from a flank. So if I am assaulted, I'm attacked, I want to respond in kind, violence of action, and gain fire superiority the same way that you would in a small unit manner. I want to attack back, but then I'm immediately looking to change direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm either going to cut 45 here or cut 45 here. By cutting 45, what I can do is I can step off in this direction. Now I am able to attack from a flank where he is still bringing 4 assets to bear forward. I am now able to bring 4 assets to bear on his flank. So if you guys watch the, there's a video that I did regarding overhead elbow, and I want you to see what is going on there. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm attacking from the front and then immediately moving into the side, then transitioning back to the front again. So essentially what I've got going on is I've got my 4 assets, 2 arms and 2 legs. I've got them working from multiple different angles, attacking from the front, transitioning to a flank, coming back to the front again, working high, working low, moving those strikes around. That's how I want to go ahead and set these combinations up. So cutting that angle to close the distance on my attacker, it may look something like this individual comes in, I'm striking, and as I'm striking, I am also moving forward. So boom, now I'm offline, now I'm on the flank. I can bring everything to bear here, from knees to elbows, everything I can bring. But I have closed the distance, assaulting into the target and maintaining that near ambush reaction to contact. I'm assaulting into the target and bringing all 4 assets to bear on my target at the same time. That is the methodology that we're looking to employ. So you guys think about that and train hard.